Just a little sound check. Does that work? Okay, good enough? Great, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for joining, and I would like to welcome everybody actually to the 10th anniversary JP Porchfest. That's what it is. So today's program at 2 o'clock right away we'll play your indie rock band, right?
Yeah.
Right. They will be right here. So that's at 2 o'clock, right? Great. Super. And then at 2:30, Gliss Girls. I think they are a singer-songwriter group. And at 4 o'clock, we will have the jazz legend Jack Schwartzbart from Berkeley here with his group. At 5, we have Noel Smith, who is also a singer-songwriter. Okay. So, Yeah, welcome again. So under the motto J.S. Bach on a JP porch, bad pun, I know, I wheeled out, with the help of Jacob, my son, our 500-pound Rogers emulation of a real pipe organ. It has 3 manuals, as you've seen, and a pedal board. And a real pipe organ would look like this. Can you guys see the screen from over there? It's probably very hard, right? So I'll put it up there. 1 second, please. Here we go. Does it show?
Yeah.
Good, yeah. So this would be a pipe organ from the Baroque era, from 1690. And to today, the technology is pretty much the same, but mine is just the electronic emulation of a real pipe organ. A pipe organ has wind-operated pipes. They look like this, right? That's how it works. And there's 1 pipe for each key. So let me try this. Where the long pipes, which are on the left, are played by the lower keys. And the shorter pipes are played sound high-pitched. So what you have in a pipe organ in the back is really the row of pipes that look like a harp. Actually, in the next image, you can see that a little bit, like in the little organ. The pipes are arranged from the tall ones to the short ones, from low pitch to high pitch. And what is also special about a pipe organ is you have multiple ranks, you have multiple stops. So you have multiple rows of pipes in the back, and each one is addressed by each key. So in other words, if you pull this stop, it sounds like this. 1 second, please. But in the next row, all the pipes are only half the length, so they sound an octave higher. So if you play the same key, it sounds an octave higher. So in this way, you can also go 2 octaves higher, and you can combine them. Then it sounds like this. Or you combine even more, shorter ones. So the organ, in a way, is the 500-year-old technology of a synthesizer, right? Because just by pulling more stops, you arrange things. And also, these pipes create sound with this little labium here, where the air becomes turbulent, and then the pitch is determined by the length of the pipe. So you also have the bass pedal board has the longest pipes because it's very low. So it goes like this. But also you have stops that have double the size of the pipes. Can you hear that still? Right? But I have one that is quadruple the size. So in a church, this would be 32 feet long of a pipe. Can you hear that? So I'm not even all the way down yet. Right? Okay. So, and when you put them all together, then you get this combined sound. One little note, so an organ is pretty much a row of upside down recorders, right? The low pitched ones on the left, the high pitched one on the right. And in a recorder, you imitate that by closing the hole. So that's a low pitched recorder. As you decrease the number of holes, you have a short pipe, and that's what happens in the organ. You just address it with the keys. So in a way, the organ is a bunch of upside down recorders. But it also has it has wooden pipes that sound very soft, like this one. And it has metal pipes that sound less soft, like this one. And it also has pipes that are not like a recorder, but they're like reeds. They're like a clarinet, and they sound like this. That's called trumpet. This is called oboe. Okay, so now let me play a piece. I forgot to say, you probably know what I played at the beginning is Bach's Toccata in D minor, right? And I now would like to play a piece by Bach that features the different way of registration. I'll play it very soft first, and then I'll play it with more stops. Let me just go to that page. Right. It is actually a hymn composed in an elaborate way, and I just want to quickly give you what the melody sounds. Okay, melody sounds like this. And he combines it in the other voices with this robust motif. And you'll hear that all throughout. So I'll first play it soft and slow, and then I play it loud and faster. are we at? Very good. Actually, let me switch to the software that shows you what the keys are doing. Just 1 second, please. Don't see my mouse. There we go. Yeah, this is a little software that shows you the keys that I'm playing. You see these little boomlets coming up, right? So time is upward. If I play a note, you see this little streak going up. If I play for long, they're long streaks on the time axis, so to speak. If I play quickly, they're short. Okay, so I added this just as an optical component for your pleasure, and also that you can check on me a little bit whether I'm doing the right thing. Okay. Now, J.S. Bach was arguably the most accomplished composer who ever lived of a genre called the fugue. And I will play for you now the little fugue in G minor. So what is a fugue? A fugue has a subject, which is just a melody. It's just called a subject. The subject is always introduced at the beginning, and then it has to cycle through all 4 voices. Through soprano, alto, tenor, bass, where the bass is always played by the feet. And then comes a little interlude, and then the subject returns multiple times, always in a certain order, maybe now alto, soprano, tenor, bass. So when you listen to a fugue, at the beginning, you're introduced to the subject as your new friend. And when the subject comes around, it's almost like your new friend is visiting you under different circumstances, relaxed ones, dramatic ones, purposeful ones, just pleasant ones, but always being your reliable friend. So he guides you through the piece by introducing you to the subject at the beginning. So let me introduce you to the subject of the little fugue in G minor. So I give you, actually, this little fugue you could have written yourself. It's very easy. I give you 3 things. You only need 3 things. You need, since it's in G minor, you need a G minor scale. Right? And since it's G minor, you need the tonic, which is the chord on the first tone, which is this. And then it's also helpful to have the dominant, which is this. That's the chord on the 5th tone. And so, whereas the tonic rests in itself, the dominant is always a little unrestful. So it always wants to be resolved in the tonic. Okay, so how did Bach use this G minor scale and the chords in his subject of the little fugue in G minor? Oops. Here we go. I have to put the clamp against the wind. Good. So I'll play it once for you, and then we see what he did. So that's the subject of the little fugue in G minor. And later you will hear it cycle through all the voices. It'll come back many, many times. So why is this beautiful? How did he do this? In the first part of the melody, he just goes in a loop around the G minor chord. So that's the chord. Just goes. So he's back at the court. Kind of pleasant, nice introduction, but a little boring, right? So that's why he then does these jumps. And these jumps are actually a vacillation between the tonic and the dominant, because it's so it puts the music at a point where you're not sure. Is he resting back to the tonic, or is he waking us up with the dominant? He goes back and forth, but then he resolves it by jumping up and coming down from the treetops to rest. Okay, so this is it. The subject, and I'll play the fugue now, and you will hear your nice new friend coming around and around, and in the end it'll come in the pedal board as the bass. Thank you. So, the last piece that I'll play is another fugue by Bach, and it is the triple fugue in E flat major, also known as Santa Ana fugue because it has a tune from a hymn book and where the tune is called the Santa Ana tune. So, as I said earlier, central to the fugue is the subject, which comes around in cycle. And this subject of the triple fugue in E major, actually you could really have composed yourself because it's very short, very easy. Goes like this. Oops, sorry. So that's the subject, that's the melody, and you'll hear it come back over and over again. So what is the characteristics of this melody? It starts with a downward third. And that's kind of often the pleasant sound. It's a little bit like kids call each other, right? Downward little third. So that's how it starts. And again, pretty relaxed. But then comes call to action, which is an upward fourth. That's call to action, right? So we have this pleasant thing. And then he rests on one tone back down. But then he does another jump up. Then he just side steps and ends up in the tonic of E flat. So it sounds like this. Okay, very short and sweet, 7 notes. That's the subject of this fugue. Let me play it for you. Thank you. But I haven't told you the full story yet. It's a triple fugue. So it has 3 subjects. That was only the first one. So the second one sounds like this. It's a little of a mumbo jumbo of a thing. And you'll hear this running throughout. The second piece is all 8th notes. He never rests, but then he adds the first one into it. And since he's Bach, he can make them fit. So that would sound, the 2 together would sound like this. Okay, so that comes in the second part of the second subject. And then there is a third with yet a different subject. And that goes. And then, of course, he combines this again with the first subject in the end, and you'll hear that coming up in the bass line. So this, to me, this piece is almost like a festive lullaby to me, if there's such a thing. It's very positive. I'll play the last measures of the first part first. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I think this is it. As long, unless you want to hear the toccata one more time, but by popular demand, really?
Please. Yes.
Okay, good, can do. Thank you, thank you. So please come back at 2 o'clock right away. Okay, thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Put this up there before I forget.